Part 56. Heaven-Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 559. The appearance of the fire source crystal beast made Wu Yu's heart burn. For a long time, he hadn't had such a strong desire for something. He had just lost the thunder source ancient crystal stone that he was supposed to get, and he was feeling depressed. In front of him, the fire source ancient crystal stone appeared, and it was obvious that this fire source ancient crystal stone would be more useful to him than the thunder source ancient crystal stone. The seven-line chaos treasure, which came from the god of all things, was sought after by even the geniuses in the Yuan Shen waxing realm, which was enough to show how precious this thing was. Wu Yu just didn't know its use very well. But it was said that the value of an ancient crystal stone was equivalent to a Taoist weapon, so you could imagine it. Grabbing 10 of them was equivalent to 10 Taoist weapons, and even if you just sold them, you could get a lot of money. However, the current situation was not that the fire source crystal beast was fighting with the two men, but that the two men were fighting for the fire source crystal beast. In the fight between the two men, the fire source crystal beast was just a fragile prey. It was like two tigers fighting for a goat. In most cases, it was the two tigers fighting, while the goat was restrained and unable to escape. It could only look for an opportunity to escape in fear. Both of them were pulling the same Taoist weapon in their hands, one of which was a dark golden chain, and the other was a green willow leaf. Now these two Taoist weapons were wrapped around the fire source crystal beast. The two sides fought and pulled at the same time, both wanting to take the fire source crystal beast away. The fire source crystal beast was entangled with two Taoist weapons, so it naturally could not escape. During the tearing, a lot of scars appeared on its body. Wu Yu hid in the dark and watched the battle. In fact, it was more difficult for him to get the fire source ancient crystal stone than to snatch it back from Prince Yun before, because the two sides fighting, judging from their strength and movements, were not weaker than Prince Yun, at least both were at the 10th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. The two played games and fought at the same time, making a huge noise, and also intimidating each other. These two people were both favored by heaven, one man and one woman. If you know what's good for you, let go quickly. If you really want to continue like this, don't blame me. I will ask my father to destroy your tribe after we get out, the woman said sharply. The other party laughed and said, relying on your small country? Don't be ridiculous. Your family's strength is really not as good as our tribe. It's better to threaten your Taoist partners Yun's Hang Fairyland to have some deterrent effect. However, don't think of scaring me. The ancient fairy road is a fair competition. Using the power behind to suppress the opponent is really despicable and ignorant behavior. Hearing this, Wu Yu took a look at the woman. It was indeed familiar. He remembered that this was the Taoist partner of Prince Yun. It seems that after entering here, they were also separated. Now she is competing with another person, and Wu Yu happened to appear here. Prince Yun, you took away my thunder source ancient crystal stone. It seems that I have to take a risk too. He hid and did not move. In this magnificent battle, it was still difficult for them to find Wu Yu. Wu Yu watched them fight intently, looking for the most suitable opportunity. For the time being, both of their Dao weapons have locked onto the fire source crystal beast. It must be difficult to seize it in the chaos. Fight, it's best to fight until both sides are injured. Wu Yu waited. The result did not disappoint him. The two were indeed evenly matched, so the fight was almost a life and death battle. Both of them played their trump cards, and each had more than two Dao weapons. This fierce collision dazzled Wu Yu, and he secretly thought that he was definitely not the opponent of any of them. However, neither of them succeeded in defeating the other. In the fierce battle, under the high-speed consumption, not only did they run out of strength, but they were also injured by the other to varying degrees. Wu Yu had been waiting and enduring. During this period, there were several good opportunities, but none of them were excellent, and he held back. In fact, the real, best opportunity may only appear once. If you miss it, when either of them hides the fire source ancient crystal stone in the sumi bag, there is basically no hope. At this moment, Wu Yu originally thought that Prince Yun's Taoist companion was going to lose the battle. She showed weakness at first, but suddenly took out a talisman. The talisman was so powerful that it instantly formed a black vortex and engulfed her opponent. The man cursed angrily. It was obvious that the talisman was very powerful, forcing him to crush the ancient immortal talisman and leave here. All is fair in war. I prepared a black hole life and death talisman, but it was wasted on you. The woman was also exhausted at this time. Her willow leaf-shaped Taoist weapon had entangled the fire source crystal beast. After solving the opponent, she quickly activated the Taoist weapon. The willow leaf instantly turned into a sharp blade and cut the fire source crystal beast. The fire source crystal beast died in battle, and the fire source ancient crystal stone also bounced out. A critical moment. Wu Yu had been waiting for this moment for too long. In an instant, his thousands of clones suddenly appeared. Its main body rushed towards the woman head-on, and the first attack it launched was the soul refining. The soul refining effect was the fastest. When the woman was about to collect the ancient fire crystal stone, she was suddenly hit by the soul refining, causing her soul to be burned. For a moment, it was extremely painful. Wu Yu used the method he used to deal with Prince Yun to deal with her. He and most of his clones besieged her. The remaining clones had been prepared for a long time to snatch the ancient fire crystal stone. Now a move broke out. Facing Wu Yu's strong attack, the woman could only protect herself first. Under the violent technique, Wu Yu waved the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar and smashed it on the opponent's head. With such attack power, plus all the other clones, and the Annihilation Beast soul-shaking technique, Wu Yu's soul refining impact next, there was an added layer of shock to her soul. Under the sting, and faced with Wu Yu's shocking blow, she had to focus all her attention on solving Wu Yu. Who? The other party screamed. Wu Yu had experienced the depression of having something he had worked so hard to obtain taken away by others, so he understood her current furious mood very well. In fact, before the two of them fought, Wu Yu's clones swarmed up and had already obtained the ancient fire source crystal stone. The opponent was really exhausted and injured. When he was in a coma, he was hit by Wu Yu's soul refining and was stunned for a moment. But in the next moment, the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar activated the magic circle on the reverse scale, hit it on the head. Boom! A defensive weapon appeared on the woman's body, which was of the same nature as the central heavenly emperor's god of war armor on Wu Yu's body. It was a sea blue mail. In a hurry, she could only use this weapon to resist. However, the power of Yu's violent technique was still very strong. A stick hit her arms and broke the woman's arms directly. The woman screamed and fell to the depths of the sea. Who are you? Are you looking for death? The shrill scream echoed ferociously nearby. Wu Yu had already got the things and had made the woman suffer. He didn't want to stay here for a long time. At this time, he put away the clone and the ancient fire source stone, and directly used the magic to escape. Tell Prince Yun that I just want him to get back what belongs to me. However, the ancient thunderstone in his hand is still mine. When he came here, Wu Yu's arrogance also increased. This Taku Immortal Road was really a place where he could wander as much as he wanted. Under the magic technique, the woman didn't actually see Wu Yu's appearance clearly. Wu Yu disappeared in front of her eyes. The woman's heart-rending screams were heard from behind. However, Wu Yu didn't even know her name. Of course I won't care. After reaching a safe distance with no one around, he took out the ancient fire source stone and placed it on the palm of his hand. This is a golden translucent stone, breathing fierce flames. It is very hot when you hold it in your hand. You can see 7 very deep spiritual lines. This shows that although it is a chaos treasure with 7 spiritual lines, this ancient crystal stone is still better than the others. The 7 spirit pattern chaos treasures must be precious. Let me see. Minglong hurriedly ran out, bent over and stared at the ancient fire source crystal stone, and suddenly became happy and said, "It turns out that this is this thing. We didn't call it this name originally. We called it Fire Source Holy Stone. This thing is quite ancient. It is a good thing. A stone has the energy of a ghost-devouring volcano. The good news is that this Fire Source ancient crystal stone can allow you to forge an indestructible diamond. The 4th level of body. It's barely enough. Of course, one is not enough, you need more. Wu Yu's Vajra indestructible body has been stuck in the 3rd level of the golden body of Nan Wu Hao Sun King Buddha for a long time. It has made no progress and it is difficult to maintain the advantage of the physical body. However, Dongsheng Shenzhou has no resources, so he puts his hope. I put it here, I didn't expect hope to appear so quickly. How much do you need? Wu Yu asked nervously. He also knew that just one would definitely not be enough. That's not clear. I don't know the effect of this thing, but no matter what, it must be dozens of pills. Dozens, this number made Wu Yu depressed. It took him so much effort to find this one. Dozens of them. Where to find it? There are probably only a few fire source crystal beasts appearing now. With less than a few dozen, how can you explain the strength of the indestructible body of Vajra? You know, what you need to practice now is the 4th level. The 4th level is much more powerful than the 3rd level. I said dozens. It's just a conservative estimate, maybe there are more. Otherwise, do you think it is so easy to become immortal? This is true, the more you need, the stronger it will definitely be. Wu Yu remembered that the 4th level of the Vajra indestructible body was called the indestructible body of the Dragon King Buddha. I don't know the specific details, but the name Guang, since it is an indestructible body, has actually been leaning towards the indestructible body of Vajra in the direction of Xiaocheng. There are 10 levels in total. Completing the 4th level is considered a small success. Completing the 8th level is considered a great achievement. Completing the 10th level is perfection. So, if you can become the indestructible body of Dragon King Buddha, you can definitely do it at night. You can you. Wu Yu thought she would say how powerful her body was. Yeah, Yuqian Yu, what is this? Important notice. On the 18th of this month, which is next Monday, which is the day after tomorrow, at 20 o'clock in the evening, the madman will send out a 1000 yuan red envelope on the public account Feng Qingyang. Please follow Madman's WeChat account and search for Feng Qingyang or Feng Qinjiang. The specific details of the red envelope will be released on the official account tomorrow. Remember to take a look at it to avoid not understanding it later. The source of the money for the red envelope is the GG fee of the official account, so every time you see the madman asking everyone to click on the picture below in the graphic message, please remember to click it. Every time you collect 1000 yuan in GG fee, the madman will send it out immediately. Remember pictures. If you want to receive 1000 yuan red envelope, please join the madman official account. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 560. At first, Wu Yu wanted to get any magic formula from Ming Long, but he had to ask her for it and exchange it. Now, she doesn't care about this anymore. After all, they are all familiar with each other and understand each other. She knew the first 6 levels of the Vajra indestructible body in total. At least until Wu Yu reached the 7th level of the Vajra indestructible body, she could still help Wu Yu. Wu Yu is getting stronger now, and he understands better that before Yi Yuan, Ming Long was indeed a very powerful person. Her previous battlefield was the Yanhuang ancient territory. It can be said that the Yanhuang ancient territory was her hometown. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow circled M. In this place, she can make the heroes attack in groups, which definitely requires some ability. There are still many stories about her, but it was too long ago and she has no interest in mentioning them. Now in this deep sea, in Wu Yu's mind, she recited for Wu Yu the fourth level of the indestructible body of Vajra and the indestructible body of Dragon King Buddha. In fact, Wu Yu had seen this magic formula at the beginning, but he was not strong enough at the time, so he forgot about it after reading it. Now he has enough capital to challenge the indestructible body of Dragon King Buddha. Therefore, when Ming Long recited the mantra only once, Wu Yu gradually recalled the details of the text he read at that time. Every golden text in it appeared in front of his eyes, with incomparable clarity and incomparable shock. These words alone seemed to be indestructible, hard, bright, and mighty, and each word possesses vast majesty. The Vajra indestructible body has a total of 10,000 words, divided into 10 levels, 1,000 words per level, all of which are very accurate. Now, 1,000 words of the fourth level surround Wu Yu's body and even penetrate into his physical body. Wu Yu was immersed in this overbearing text. I was at the fourth level just now, and I have such power. If one day I can really achieve the 10th level, then I can really go to heaven and earth, be immortal, and not even be afraid of the immortals. He daydreamed about the state at that time. In fact, he has an indestructible body, great celestial magic, 72 transformations, and various celestial powers. All these inheritances from the Monkey King are the most fundamental reasons for Wu Yu's inner strength. Nowadays, even when he sees so many geniuses in the Jambu world, he is not discouraged, nor does he feel inferior. He believes that he has more inheritance than anyone else. Even though everyone seems to be able to suppress him now, who can guarantee that Wu Yu will not stand at the pinnacle of the Yanhuang ancient territory in a few years? His goal from beginning to end is to become an immortal. Only the top beings in the Yanhuang ancient territory can become immortals. After coming here and seeing many real geniuses, he became more determined to excel. Ambition and ambition are stirring in your chest. However, now it is time to settle down and persevere. Every time you forge an indestructible body, you need extraordinary perseverance and persistence, as well as the ability to withstand pain. This is Wu Yu's advantage. Because of his background, Immortal's starting point is undoubtedly the lowest in the entire Taku Immortal Road. Because of this, he knows how difficult it is to step into the Immortal Road. The Dragon King Buddha has an indestructible body. Before that, there were Namo Precious Moon King Buddha and Namo Haori King Buddha. Now it is Dragon King Buddha. What is this King Buddha? Wu Yu guessed that it is probably what the inner Vajra Buddha looks like when it changes. The whole body is golden, sitting cross-legged on the ground. Immovable as a mountain, Vajra is indestructible. All the trivial matters in the world are strategized and controlled by him. This Dragon King Buddha is undoubtedly more powerful. After completing the fourth level, it is equivalent to having the body of a dragon and a Buddha. The dragon and the Buddha merge, and the body is like a divine dragon. By then, your body bones, tendons, blood vessels, and even muscles and brain will be like a divine dragon. The Dragon King Buddha was created by the divine dragon. With this Dragon King Buddha's immortal body, when the time comes you can do those shameful things with that beautiful dragon and you won't suffer any loss, and you can even make her kneel down and beg for mercy. Ming Taki has been very naughty recently, and often has the urge to make people laugh when he talks about it. Look at you, you're so tough. You're not very old. Why do you speak so vulgarly? Don't you know how to be reserved? Wu Yu said with shame. Ming Long jumped up and said, you think I'm a little girl? At my grandma's age, it's more than enough to be your grandma's ancestor for 18 generations. Your grandma and I have killed more people than you have ever seen. You dare to rely on your old age in front of me, grandma. Wu Yu was too lazy to pay more attention to her. He was immersed in the world of this magic formula. He had to say that she was actually quite right. The fourth level of physical power was indeed very powerful. It was even called an indestructible body. Once the indestructible body of the Vajra is completed, even if the arm is cut off, it will probably grow back quickly. If the broken arm can be found, it can be reattached in an instant without any harm. In addition to the powerful strength and defense, the strongest thing should be the recovery power. Wu Yu has seen the recovery power of the Ghost Emperor. It is indeed terrifying, and the indestructible body of the King Kong is also close to that level. After all, the Ghost King is also the power of all things and gods. All things and gods are the most wonderful things in the world and cannot be viewed with common sense. With the terrifying ability of the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor, if he had not been defeated by the gods, he would have grown even more terrifying. Wu Yu is now anxious to reach the realm of soul transformation. If possible, he will use Minglong's method to split the second soul, control the body of the sky-swallowing demon ancestor, and become the sky-swallowing demon ancestor himself. This is what Minglong supports him. If it can possess the ability to devour, the second soul clone may surpass the main body. So for the time being, this egg is very important to Wu Yu, and he is also hesitating whether to throw it here. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. At least, he will not be willing to give it up for the time being. However, he is afraid that he will be taken away by the devouring demon ancestor during the process of his soul transformation. The matter of the second soul is still far away. He took out the fire source ancient crystal stone and focused on it. The fire source ancient crystal stone is just a material for forging. The real key is the formula of the indestructible body of diamond. However, this forging method is really too terrifying. Wu Yu was shocked when he first knew it. He confirmed with Minglong several times before he understood. He had to cut open his flesh and blood, cut open his heart, put the fire source ancient crystal stone in it, let the blood in his body wash the ancient crystal stone, let its essence be brought to all parts of his body, the whole process, naturally accompanied by the fourth level of the indestructible body of diamond. Although he has a strong recovery ability and a strong body, it is still difficult to cut himself. Those who achieve great things must be cruel to themselves. If you can't even get through this level today, how can you advance to a higher level in the future? City Lord, place your hope on me. Dongsheng Shenzhou still needs me to go there to relieve the disasters of countless creatures. In this way, my personal pain is nothing. Thinking a lot of things clearly in his heart, when he is sincere and all problems are solved, and there is no other worry, Wu Yu resolutely decided to take action in the depths of the sea. Of course, if there is a safe place, he will choose it, but in this dark sea, it is extremely chaotic and there is no safe place at all. Cut, tear. Fortunately, he could endure this process. After all, it was just bloody. When he quickly stuffed the ancient fire crystal stone in, the wound had actually begun to heal after a while, even the scars on his body could not be seen. The real pain was that the ancient fire crystal stone entered the body, which was equivalent to the energy of a ghost-eating volcano. Wu Yu recited the mantra of Dragon King Buddha indestructible body for a moment. His whole body changed drastically. His body seemed to have turned into a world, and the ancient fire crystal stone seemed to have become the core of the world at this time. Wu Yu was covered in blood, which turned into gold and was extremely sharp, washing on the ancient fire crystal stone. It was like countless swords. The ancient fire crystal stone was washed by the blood, making a sharp sound. When it was destroyed, it was equivalent to the power of a ghost-eating volcano, and it naturally exploded completely. Boom boom boom. In an instant, Wu Yu had turned into a golden fireman. This was only because he was already the golden body of Namo Haori Wang Buddha, so he was not instantly burned to ashes by the ancient fire crystal stone. But even so, it was quite terrifying. For Wu Yu, this was a terrible ordeal. The pain almost made him forget to recite the spell. He just wanted to end it quickly and take out the ancient fire crystal stone. Wu Yu. Don't give up. Think about how many people need you. Hang on. Don't give up. I, a weak woman, insisted on coming through. If you give up, I will look down on you. It will be over soon. Hang on. This is just the beginning. After a few more times, you will get used to it and become numb. Believe me, this is the most difficult time. When Wu Yu was struggling the most, Ming Long's anxious words were in his ears. She was also very anxious. Maybe she herself didn't expect that these words of hers brought such a powerful force to Wu Yu. I can't let Ming Long look down on me. You're right, I must persist. If I don't persist, how can I become an immortal? At this moment, tears flowed from his eyes, and he was burned in an instant. All over his body, there was severe pain from being burned by the fierce fire. His body was burned again and again, but he was reborn again under the nourishment of the Vajra indestructible body formula. The energy of the ancient fire crystal stone was washed by the fierce blood, and every tiny part of the body, even any corner, could not escape the burning. However, Wu Yu felt that every time he recited this 1,000-word formula, it was as if there was an extra golden dragon in his body. The golden dragon attached to his bones and gradually turned the bones directly into golden dragons. For example, the ribs were like more than 10 dragons surrounding his internal organs. Roar. Inside the body, there were waves of dragon roars. Wu Yu, keep going. Whether I can be reborn or not depends on you. I admit that I put all my hopes on you for rebirth, but you are a grown man, you should not give up, understand? Looking at him gritting his teeth, Ming Long was suddenly moved. At 2 o'clock tomorrow night, a 1,000 yuan red envelope will be given on time. Remember to follow the madman's WeChat account, Feng Qing Yang. The earlier you come, the earlier you get. In addition, the detailed method of grabbing red envelopes will be posted on the official account later today. Everyone, hurry up and add it, don't miss it. If you miss it, you can only look through the history records of the official account. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 561. Finally, it's over. Wu Yu was sweating profusely. At this moment, he was completely exhausted and fell limply into the sea, drifting with the current. It was as if I had experienced life and death and walked through the gate of hell. In this weakness, Wu Yu's body regained consciousness. This consciousness made him deeply feel that even just an ancient fire source stone had actually made his physical body much stronger and his physical strength even more violent. It's just that for the time being, it seems that it's far from the time to achieve the indestructible body of Dragon King Buddha. However, he undoubtedly saw hope. As long as he could get more ancient fire source crystals, and as long as he could hold on, the fourth level of the indestructible body would be achieved sooner or later. The key is that getting ancient crystal stones is actually just as difficult as persisting. The pain and torture just now was beyond anything before, and even made Wu Yu doubt his life. Looking back now, I am still sweating profusely, and I have no idea how I persisted. It was like having a nightmare. Well, today is the first time, so I'm not used to it. Once I get used to it, it won't be a problem. Ming Tong said with an awkward smile. Wu Yu remembered that he persisted thanks to her being by his side. However, he would not thank her. The two of them were already very familiar with each other, so there was no need to say such outlandish words. I don't believe you can withstand this kind of torture. Wu Yu looked at her suspiciously. Ming Long chuckled and said, that's right, the treasure I used to exercise is much gentler, but unfortunately you don't have it. There are only fire source ancient crystal stones here, haha. Seeing her gloating about her misfortune, Wu Yu wanted to beat her. He rested for a while first, and when his body recovered completely, he knew that it was time to continue on the road to find a new fire source ancient crystal stone. This matter is very urgent. He must make himself stronger as soon as possible. Although it is not easy, he must persevere. There are not many things that are easy to do in the world. Fortunately, I didn't encounter turbulence during these few days of training, which can be considered lucky. After all, he stayed in one place and didn't wander around. When he just started to change positions, turbulence immediately appeared, and he didn't know where to move him. After wandering around for 2 days, I met many people. They ignored Wu Yu and passed by in a hurry. They were probably still looking for the gods and ancient crystal stones. Now in this endless sea, everyone is eager to find it. Apart from the gods of all things and ancient crystal stones, I just don't know if there is anything else in this endless sea. Wu Yu was very cautious. However, after a few days of exploring with piercing eyes, he found that the number of fire crystal beasts was still relatively small. He encountered water crystal beasts twice, but water crystal beasts were very good at hiding in the sea. Sometimes not captured at all. There should be the most water source crystal beasts. When the water source crystal beast melted into the water, Wu Yu even had to use his fiery eyes to see its traces. This time, with his sharp eyes, he happened to see a water crystal beast. This water crystal beast was combined with the sea water. It was not easy for ordinary people to find it. He was swimming in the sea leisurely and had no idea about Wu Yu has seen it. After all, in its view, Wu Yu's UN power was relatively weak and was no match for it, so it didn't care. It's a pity that it's a water crystal beast. It would be better if it was a fire crystal beast. No matter what, let's fight for it first. Maybe we can exchange it with others for the ancient fire crystal stone. Thinking of this, he quickly moved closer and was ready to take action. The water source crystal beast was not afraid of him. When Wu Yu discovered it, it roared angrily and demonstrated towards Wu Yu as a warning. If Wu Yu gets closer, it will obviously take action. Of course Wu Yu continued to approach and was about to use the magical power of extra-legal clones. At this moment, a sudden change occurred. Someone strong must have arrived. At that moment, Wu Yu felt the terrifying suppression of divine power, and his use of magical powers was directly restricted and stopped. When he stopped moving, he suddenly saw a flash of light in front of him. That golden light with some vicissitudes of life appeared from nowhere. In just the blink of an eye, it penetrated the water source crystal beast. Head. The water crystal beast didn't even have a chance to escape, so it was killed directly. The golden light took away the water source ancient crystal stone on the head of the water source crystal beast. Only then did Wu Yu see that the golden light should be a Taoist artifact, and it should be a golden ring. The ring, carrying the ancient water source crystal, swayed in front of Wu Yu's eyes, and finally passed in front of Wu Yu's eyes and reached Wu Yu's left side. On the left side of Wu Yu, at some point, a woman appeared. The woman was wearing a golden robe embroidered with golden peonies. She had a pair of pure golden eyes, and her long hair was like a waterfall, hanging down around her waist. Such a woman, even in the uninhabited Taku Immortal Road, looks particularly outstanding. It is definitely the rare core and focus in everyone's eyes. The divine power, the nobility, calmness, and cold and arrogant demeanor revealed in every move were far incomparable to any of Prince Yun's Taoist companions. With long hair and rolling golden robes, he looked like the legendary golden-robed immortal in heaven, especially those eyes, which were full of golden edge and penetrated his whole body. Wu Yu knew that this woman was one of the top beings in the ancient immortal path that he had seen before. Wu Yu was slightly impressed by her golden eyes. Now she easily put away the water source ancient crystal stone in her hand, but she had no intention of leaving. The pair of golden eyes penetrated Wu Yu, and this strong oppression was slightly similar to that of Emperor Marshall. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu was a little alert and was ready to use the magic to leave, but he was not sure whether the magic could escape from this person's palm. Fortunately, the other party did not seem to have any hostility. He just stared at him for a while, and suddenly asked in a very quiet voice with a little indifference, "You have a Taoist weapon engraved with the magic array of my Yanhuang ancient country, but there is no one like you among the people of my Yanhuang ancient country who came to the ancient immortal road this time. If you did not snatch this Taoist armor from the hands of my Yanhuang ancient country, then you'd better tell me clearly its origin." Although this person is a woman, she is very majestic, as if she was born noble. This must be a very high realm to cultivate her temperament. Wu Yu had only guessed before, but he didn't expect that she was actually from the ancient country of Yanhuang. He came here just to meet the people of the ancient country of Yanhuang. Judging from the words of the Lord of Yanhuang City, the people of the ancient country of Yanhuang actually did not have any hostility towards him. After all, the people of the ancient country of Yanhuang still regarded Dongsheng Shenzhou as their fourth continent. Obviously, I can't defeat her and get the ancient fairy talisman from her, so I can only ask her for help. At least if she goes back, she can bring the news back, so that even if I don't have the opportunity to go to the ancient domain of Yanhuang, I can ensure that the news can be brought over. Thinking of this, Wu Yu made a decision. The man in front of him, at such a young age, has reached such a realm, and should be considered as one of his own, so Wu Yu has no hostility towards him, but some admiration. He said with a serious look, "Don't get me wrong, my name is Wu Yu, and I am indeed not from the ancient country of Yanhuang, but this weapon and armor of mine is not from robbers, but inherited from my ancestors. I wonder if you know that in the far east of the ancient Yanhuang domain, there is a Dongsheng Shenzhou, and on that Dongsheng Shenzhou, there is a Yanhuang emperor city built by the ancient Yanhuang country, and every time the ancient immortal road is opened, there will be a gate to the ancient immortal road there." He said it very clearly. The woman in the golden robe showed a little surprise, obviously a little surprised. She said, "I have heard of it, but we call it the Demon Sealing Continent. It is said that there is indeed a city built by our ancient country Yanhuang. But it has lost contact with this place. You are from the Demon Sealing Continent, which is really rare. No wonder you are only at the 4th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm." When she heard Wu Yu's identity, her hostility disappeared. Of course, she was a person of noble status, and the majestic aura that made people afraid to approach would not disappear easily. After saying that, the woman in the golden robe looked at him for a while, and then said, "It seems that you are not just that simple, at least your physical body is quite strong, even, surprisingly strong. You should have some ability, otherwise you can't stick here for so long. It should be quite difficult for you to come to the Demon Sealing Continent, but in the ancient immortal road, you have to rely on yourself. I'm leaving first." After all, she didn't want to be with Wu Yu. "Wait. Don't leave yet. I came to the ancient immortal road this time with an important mission. I must find someone from the ancient country of Yanhuang and pass on a major event that happened in Dongsheng Shenzhou to the ancient country of Yanhuang." When Wu Yu saw that she was about to leave, he immediately stopped her. The woman in the golden robe was a little surprised. She turned her head, her snow-white jade skin shone crystal clear in the water, and her golden eyes stared at Wu Yu, saying, "What big thing can there be in Dongsheng Shenzhou?" She was so contemptuous, and it made sense. After all, to her, it was a marginal and desolate place. In the past, when Wu Yu was in charge of Wudu, he also felt that there would be no big things in the countryside and villages. He seized the opportunity and asked, "Do you know the demon ancestor devouring the sky who almost destroyed the world of Yanfu? Do you know why Dongsheng Shenzhou is called the Demon Sealing Land?" The woman in the golden robe nodded and said, "I have heard of it. It is said that the gods who descended from the sky trapped him in the demon-sealing land with a 3-era killing array. Now 5 UN time has passed, and the demon ancestor devouring the sky has long been reduced to ashes. No, he has not turned into ashes, and he may be reborn within 10 months. Dongsheng Shenzhou is in great danger now. I just want to pass this news to the ancient country of Yanhuang, so that the ancient country of Yanhuang can send masters to prevent his rebirth. Wu Yu said solemnly. If the woman in the golden robe is willing to help, that would be great. At 8 o'clock tomorrow night, the public account Feng Qingyang will send out red envelopes on time. Remember to follow. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 562. According to the number of heaven and earth, 129,600 years is 1 UN. The gods in the sky used 3 UN of time to completely annihilate the heaven-devouring demon ancestor. Now 5 UN has passed. In other words, more than 600,000 years have passed. To this day, some people still remember the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor, which shows that the disaster that the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor once caused in the world of Jambu was too great. It was precisely for this reason that when Wu Yu mentioned that the heaven-devouring demon ancestor could be reborn after being banned for 5 UN of time in the sealed demon continent, the woman in gold robe obviously found it difficult to believe it. Therefore, after she listened to what Wu Yu said, she couldn't help but smile coldly and said, "Don't you think I'm easy to talk to and come to have fun with me? This is not something you can joke about. Do you think I will listen? Are you telling the truth? What is the concept of 5 elements? Even if the immortal is reduced to ashes, how can the heaven-devouring demon ancestor be reborn?" She had a straight face, obviously not believing it. Wu Yu was anxious, but the other party had no patience. "Although I feel a little unhappy, this is after all an important task assigned by the Lord of Yanhuang City, so there is nothing wrong with being so angry." At this time, the woman in golden robe was about to leave. He seized the time and said loudly, "I will never lie, and there is no need at all. You only need to give me 60 breaths, and I will tell you clearly what happened. Now Dongsheng, the divine continent, is in danger, and the city lord of Yanhuang Emperor City has died in battle. I come here with the hope of the divine continent on my shoulders, and there is no way I can have any fun." After all, he didn't care whether the golden-robed woman agreed or not. He started from the Tian demon mansion, from the appearance of the ghost emperor to the battle between ghosts and gods, especially exaggerating the ghost emperor's ability, and later talked about Duo Mingshen's victory over Shui's father. Female. Basically made things clear. The only thing he hid was a few things. First, he didn't say that he and Luo Bin entered the sky-devouring demon mansion, which led to what happened next. Second, he didn't say that Luo Bin appeared and defeated the ghost emperor. Third, he didn't say that he had the magic weapon in his hand. The egg thing. Even if these details are omitted, it is actually very clear. The golden-robed woman became a little more cautious and asked seriously, "Are you sure that it is the heaven-swallowing demon mansion and the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor? Not others. The heaven-swallowing demon ancestor is unlikely to be reborn. Maybe someone is using his name to scare you. After all, there are not many people in your place who have any ability to distinguish." To be honest, Wu Yu was a little angry. He hated asking others, especially people like him. No matter how clearly Wu Yu made it clear, she was still suspicious. In the final analysis, she looked down on Wu Yu and Dongsheng Shenzhou from the bottom of her heart, and she didn't think that the things that Wu Yu and the others thought were important were important. She also didn't think that the gods would make mistakes. Compared with authority, no matter how clear Wu Yu speaks now, it seems useless. This feeling is like country people coming to the city and telling the city people how magical they found a real big treasure in the country, but the city people will still laugh at them, think they have never seen the world, and make a fuss. The principle is the same. How could someone who came out of the heaven-devouring demon mansion have such terrifying devouring abilities not be related to the heaven-devouring demon ancestor? Wu Yu said angrily. Seeing that he had a bad attitude, the woman in golden robes looked sternly and said coldly, "Okay, I know about this. I will tell other people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom when I meet them, but these are all your one-sided words. We cannot waste our opportunity on the Teku Immortal Road for you. If we are unlucky enough to leave the Teku Immortal Road early, we will tell the elders what you said and let them make a decision." This class difference made Wu Yu very unhappy. It was obvious that the world of the Yanhuang ancient territory was more hierarchical than that of the divine continent. For example, this woman in gold robe was aloof, so even the most ordinary gazes made people feel full of contempt. But at least, if she would tell other people in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, although she might not leave the Teku Immortal Road so quickly, there will always be people who leave. After all, the Teku Immortal Road is full of dangers. If those people could know the news and tell their elders the details after going out, Dongsheng Shenzhou would still have some hope of getting help. After all, he guessed that the elders of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom would always be wiser. At least, what he said to this golden-robed woman today, and his mission to come to this Teku Immortal Road, was already possible, and that was enough. No matter whether the woman in golden robe will tell anyone else or how many people she will tell, Wu Yu will continue to look for other people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom and let them spread the news. Even if they are not from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, it may not be impossible. After that, it was about going to the Yanhuang ancient territory. Seizing the ancient immortal talisman will be considered separately first. City Lord, I will never let down your expectations of me. Thinking of the old man who died protecting him, Wu Yu calmed down. The woman in gold robe turned and left. May I know your name? Wu Yu said to his back. Today, although the other party did not attack her, it was undeniable that Wu Yu suffered a certain setback from her. He wanted to remember her name and appearance, not to take revenge on her, but to stand on an equal footing with her one day. At that time, she would no longer be able to talk to herself with such a contemptuous attitude. Wu Yu looked at her back. In the vast sea, the figure of the golden-robed woman disappeared in front of Wu Yu in an instant. She certainly heard what Wu Yu said, but obviously, she had no intention of telling Wu Yu her name. This really shows that a proud person like her really has no intention of taking care of Wu Yu's emotions after knowing his identity. So proud Wu Yu shook his head. This did not defeat him, but only made him more determined. This chapter is not over yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading. If you want to gain respect from others, you must have the capital to be respected. This is the truth of the ages. The woman in the golden robe is not wrong, but she is a little realistic. At least, the first step has been taken. Even if Wu Yu is forced to retreat to Dongsheng Shenzhou now, the ancient country of Yanhuang may still get the news of the devouring demon ancestor. Next, he still has the original two things. First, in the turbulence, look for the gods of all things. This is what everyone is doing. Second, find the people of the ancient country of Yanhuang and tell them the news of the devouring demon ancestor. Even if it is not the ancient country of Yanhuang, as long as it looks easy to talk to, it is actually okay. However, this seems to be more difficult than looking for the gods of all things, because the geniuses of the world of Yanfu encountered are basically in a hurry, chasing the gods of all things in several places, and it seems that everyone is afraid of being slow and letting others snatch away the treasure. Wu Yu was lucky. In more than 10 days, he encountered 3 gods of all things, one each of Thunder Source Crystal Beast, Water Source Crystal Beast and Fire Source Crystal Beast. The Water Source Crystal Beast escaped, and the other 2 were killed by Wu Yu, who took away the ancient crystal stone. Especially the Fire Source Crystal Beast. When Wu Yu found it, his blood boiled. He exerted all his strength and almost killed it with one strike, and got the Fire Source ancient crystal stone. After getting it, he quickly smelted it to forge the Dragon King Buddha indestructible body. In fact, it was not as Ming Long said, the more words, the more numb. The second pain and disaster were not worse than the first time, and there was even a more tragic situation. Every time was like a nightmare. This pain made Wu Yu grin and curse. However, compared with the last time, when smelting this time, he could always remember the face of the woman in the golden robe. Wu Yu really couldn't forget the conversation and expression between the two. Because it was hard to forget, he couldn't give up. That chick is really too much. When you surpass her, I suggest you strip her naked, take possession of her body, make her cry her heart out, and beg for mercy on her knees, Ming Long said indignantly. Wu Yu was speechless and said, "When did you become so wretched? You seemed quite pure before." "I am wretched? You are the wretched one. I am just talking about what you think," Ming Long laughed mischievously. "Go to hell. After spending a long time with her, I am afraid that even I will become indecent." However, with her words, Wu Yu couldn't help laughing, and he felt much better. He could think about problems more calmly. Reality is reality. In a world with strict hierarchy, most people are not friendly. People with status and strength will be looked down upon and discriminated against. How to solve it? Only by making yourself strong can you be looked at differently. After smelting another ancient fire crystal stone, you can clearly feel the strengthening of your physical body again. Wu Yu's physical advantage continues to rise, but Ming Long still hits him. "I counted with my fingers. You are still more than 30 ancient fire crystal stones away from achieving the indestructible body of the Dragon King Buddha. With so many people hunting, the number of gods and spirits of all things will only decrease. Wu Yu even doubts whether there are 30 fire crystal beasts here. Obviously, it seems that it is not very realistic to complete the fourth level here. However, this is not necessarily the case. After all, the ancient immortal road is a place full of miracles." Wu Yu embarked on the journey again. This time, he tried to take the initiative to talk to people after meeting them to see if there was anyone he could talk to. For Shenzhou, he was willing to do these things that he was unwilling to do before. After all, it was thankless. People didn't meet, but suddenly one day, this dark sea suddenly had a big movement, as if the whole sea was rolling and boiling. What Wu Yu saw was that the sea water was filled with dense electric snakes, and purple light was swimming in the sea. The closer to a certain direction, the denser the thunder there was, and the louder the movement would be. "What's going on? I vaguely felt that something big was going to happen." He went quickly in that direction. Not long after, he saw several figures, and the direction was the same as his. Obviously, after feeling this huge movement, everyone would go in that direction. What will happen in this magical ancient immortal road? Heavy news. At 20 o'clock tonight, that is, 2 hours later, Feng Qingyang, the madman's WeChat, will send a 1000 yuan red envelope. If you want to grab it, quickly open WeChat and follow Feng Qingyang. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qingyang. Chapter 563. Wu Yu had heard a lot about the ancient immortal road. The most crucial point is that there are endless changes within the ancient immortal road. Anything can happen, anything can happen. He had long held this mentality, so even when he saw such a big commotion suddenly appearing now, he was very calm at this time. Anyone who sees this movement will go over there. As Wu Yu approached, he could already see that people from all directions were gathering here. Even if they were swept away by the turbulence, they continued to rush here rapidly. Often when the commotion is the biggest, it is also the time when the treasures that everyone is fighting for are most likely to appear. There were several people around who rushed forward directly past Wu Yu. At this time, no matter who they were, they didn't want to care about others. What on earth has appeared? With such a terrifying aura, it is definitely not one of our own. Either the demon has gone mad, or a new god of all things has appeared. I said it long ago, how could the ancient immortal road be so peaceful? Yes, now the storm has come. It is not so easy for us to hunt here easily. While going there, Wu Yu vaguely heard two people talking like this. He could have arrived quickly, but after all, the front was dangerous, so he slowed down. Now he did not want to be forced to return to Dongsheng Shenzhou. The snow on the Duoming mountain had just left after a few days of entering. The closer he got, the more dense electric snakes there were in the sea water. Even though Wu Yu's body was strong and he had the Taoist armor, the violent electric snakes still drilled into his body, bringing waves of numbness and severe pain. The closer he got, the stronger this feeling became. Later, the whole world in front of him was basically filled with surging lightning. Wu Yu had to rely on his fiery eyes to see through the lightning and see ahead. Roar! At this moment, a roar of a giant beast came from the front. The roar of this giant beast was extremely violent. With one roar, the sea rolled, a shocking torrent was set off, and the electric snake screamed and rolled, twisting wildly. The whole world was crazy and cholera. Wu Yu probably knew that at this time, there were at least more than 100 monks and demons gathered in the place where the roar of the giant beast just came from. After the roar of the giant beast, the movement suddenly increased, and the sea water became more chaotic. Now a battle is breaking out. Wu Yu advanced in the thunder. He was still more resistant than ordinary people, so he advanced very deep. When his sight saw the many monks who were taking action in the depths of the thunder, he naturally saw what they were surrounded by, that is, the giant beast. What surprised Wu Yu was that there was still a thunder source crystal beast there. In terms of appearance, it was similar to the thunder source crystal beast he saw at the beginning. However, what shocked him was that the size of this thunder source crystal beast was hundreds of times larger than other thunder source crystal beasts. Without a doubt, Wu Yu clearly saw that the thunder source ancient crystal stone in its head was also hundreds of times larger than usual. Such a huge thunder source ancient crystal stone made Wu Yu stunned. If the value of a thunder source ancient crystal stone is equal to the same Taoist weapon, then what is this thunder source ancient crystal stone that is hundreds of times larger? A miraculous treasure? Only one thing can measure the value of this hundred-fold thunder source ancient crystal stone. That is, the hundreds of geniuses who could surround it, probably the top of the world of Yamafu, all of them were at least above the Yuan Shen waxing realm. Now, they all looked crazy, and almost everyone's eyes revealed a strong desire, and even everyone had a crazy look, ready to move. From their eyes, Wu Yu could clearly see that even they regarded this thunder source ancient crystal stone as a rare treasure. Wu Yu couldn't get close for the time being, he couldn't participate in this dispute. To him, the hundreds of people were like giants, and there were more people around approaching, most of them were watching the battle outside like him. His fiery eyes were very clear. Let's call this beast the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. Ming Long was amazed and said, it is really worthy of being the ancient immortal road. Even this level of gods of all things can appear. Of course, now only the wonderful ancient immortal road can produce such gods of all things. This miracle can only be nurtured by heaven and earth after hundreds of thousands of years. The life of gods of all things is long, which is really enviable. Even she was so amazed, it was indeed extraordinary. It's a pity that Wu Yu has no chance. He was more vigilant and protected himself. At this time, Wu Yu clearly saw through his fire eyes that among the hundreds of people in front, there was the golden-robed woman he met last time. There were more than 10 people standing beside her at this time. They were close to her. Judging from their appearance and temperament, they were probably all people from the ancient country of Yanhuang. Perhaps this Thunder Source Crystal Beast King gathered them together. Wu Yu hoped that she could tell others about the devouring demon ancestor. However, at this time, more than 10 of them gathered together, each with burning eyes, and their whole hearts were on the giant beast. It was estimated that the golden-robed woman had no time to talk about Shenzhou for the time being. After all, she didn't believe it. During their conversation, Wu Yu vaguely heard that they called the golden-robed woman, Zhang Kaijun. Zhang Kaijun, I remember. Soon, Zhang Kaijun and other talented boys and girls from the ancient Yanhuang country also joined the battle. On the one hand, they wanted to subdue the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King, and on the other hand, they wanted to force back other competitors. In this team, Zhang Kaijun's strength is not strong. There are many people stronger than her in the ancient Yanhuang country. A terrifying melee that Wu Yu has never witnessed. It can be said that when the elders headed by the Yanhuang City Lord and the Taixu Saint Lord besieged the Ghost Emperor, the scene and momentum were not as grand as now. After all, there are hundreds of people here, and more people have joined the battle. Not only did they fight against the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King together, but they also fought each other. The scene was extremely tragic, with all kinds of mysterious Taoist techniques and various great magical powers. What's more terrifying is that everyone has at least several Taoist weapons, all of which are top level. However, they seem to underestimate the power and anger of the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. The fighting power of the gods of all things is the most difficult to estimate. Most of the time, the gods of all things have no difference in realm. Sometimes they can definitely display a terrifying power beyond people's imagination. For example, the devouring demon ancestor. His devouring ability is absolutely unprecedented. And the thunder power of the giant beast in front of him is also rare in the world. No matter how many Taoist arts and magical powers there are, no matter how many Taoist instruments and talismans there are, when it gets angry, collides, and manipulates thunder, for a time, the hundreds of top masters can't suppress it. Roar. Surrounded, the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King, covered with surging thunder, released surging lightning, turning the entire sea into a thunder pool. Within 1,000 miles, there is probably no sea water, only fierce thunder. Within 1,000 miles, it has become a purple sea of thunder and lightning. This range is still expanding outward. Looking around, the whole world seems to be occupied by thunder. Being in it, there is always a fatal crisis. Only in the ancient Immortal Road can you see such a grand scene. However, the geniuses and demons of the world of Yanfu are also very tenacious. When the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King showed its terrifying power that was at least equivalent to the 6th level of the Yuan Shen Huaxing realm, they all temporarily gave up the fight and devoted themselves to killing the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. They have the ancient immortal talisman. If the risk fails, the worst thing is to withdraw, but if it is possible to grab the 100 times Thunder Source ancient crystal stone, it will be a step to heaven. At the core of the battlefield, the battle situation was so intense that even Wu Yu's fiery eyes could not see it. There were roars and explosions everywhere. Hundreds of Taoist instruments were flying in the sky, suppressing the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. It was hard to tell which Taoist instrument belonged to whom. In particular, there were many demons who transformed directly into their original bodies and fought with the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King in close combat. For a time, there were more than 40 giant beasts there. Wu Yu had seen the original bodies of Zilong and Infant Emperor. Any demon beast there was no less powerful than them, or even stronger than them. And these were just young people. Even in terms of bloodline, they were not inferior to them. Most of them were sea demons. Such as whales, sharks, shrimps, crabs and shells. There were many rare bloodlines among them, and they were born demons. Some were even passed down for more than hundreds of thousands of years. In this chaos, Wu Yu's strength was so strong that he could only watch the battle from a distance and could not intervene at all. Once he got close, he would probably be injured by mistake or killed by the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. The scene was too intense, and Wu Yu could only control himself from being thrown out. Like him, there were many people watching the battle around, and there were even Yuan Shen waxing realm. Boom boom boom. The sound of explosions continued to sweep, and each time it was accompanied by the violent thunder brought by the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King. Even if the power of the thunder bombarded here, Wu Yu had to use the Taoist armor and defend with all his strength. Is it still meaningful for me to stay here? He knew that he would definitely not be able to grab the 100-fold Thunder Source Ancient Crystal Stone. Reason told him that he had to leave quickly, but everyone would be unwilling, so now there were only people coming in a continuous stream, and no one would leave first. Insisting here, just to try your luck, maybe good luck will come to you. Even if you can't, you can see which existence will finally snatch what everyone wants. Maybe everyone feels this way. At this time, the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King was furious, and a leg fell off his body, and then exploded. This was an unprecedented explosion. The explosion gave birth to countless pitch-black thunders like giant snakes, more than 1,000, rushing fiercely around. Those near it, of course, were the first to bear the brunt. And those around him were not immune. For example, Wu Yu, at this time, a black thunder snake flashed in front of him, opened its huge mouth, and bit Wu Yu. The most troublesome thing was that when Wu Yu hit the snake's head with a stick, the electric snake wrapped around the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar and instantly pounced on Wu Yu. The red envelopes are gone. Everyone remember to see the picture and text message of the official account, click the GG at the bottom, and send it when you have collected 1,000. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 565. Unexpectedly, the other party was very frank and smiled directly. I am abrupt, sorry, my name is Lan Tianyu, from Blue Wing Storm Valley. Blue Wing Storm Valley is too small, I guess you haven't heard of it. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. I haven't heard of it, where is it, Wu Yu asked. The other party's enthusiasm made him a little uncomfortable. After all, he suffered too much cold reception here. Lan Tianyu tilted his head and thought for a while, and said, as for the location, first of all, it is in the north of Nanshan Buzhu, close to the central divine continent. Our Blue Wing Storm Valley does not belong to any country, but it has been passed down for a long time. My father is the valley master, and his strength is not bad, so it has not been annexed by neighboring countries, he. When he heard about the central divine continent, Wu Yu could only say that God help me. This is a place quite close to Zhonghai Shenzhou. Maybe as long as he goes out, he can enter Zhonghai Shenzhou and talk to people about Dongsheng Shenzhou. As for how to deal with Lanshanyu's elders, Wu Yu didn't think much. He could give Lanshanyu the ancient fairy talisman of Dongsheng Shenzhou and let him wait in Shenzhou for a while. If the masters of Blue Wing Storm Valley realize the seriousness of such a big thing, they should forgive Wu Yu. Moreover, they may not always guard the location of the ancient ferry road gate. It is said that the location returned after crushing the ancient ferry road gate is not necessarily the place where you came in, and it is normal to have a slight deviation. The 8th level of Zifukanghai realm, near Zhonghai Shenzhou, it can be said that the laughing Lanshanyu in front of him is almost the best choice. Wu Yu is ready. Now that his Taoist armor is destroyed, it is not so easy for the other party to guess that he is from the ancient country of Yanhuang. At this time, the other party said, I think you are hanging around here alone, it's quite pitiful, why don't you follow me? Although I am not talented, I have 1 or 2 ways to save my life. Ordinary Purple Mansion Kanghai Realm 9th level may not be my opponent. It's no problem to protect you a little. By the way, you haven't introduced yourself yet. The other party's words made Wu Yu alert. He said that ordinary purple mansion Kanghai realm 9th level is not his opponent. Obviously, he is not an ordinary purple mansion 8th level. He should have some special skills, probably similar to Wuxian blood qi. Although he is at the 8th level, he can defeat He Taijun at the 9th level. Moreover, the other party has no ill will towards him and cares about his safety. It can be said that this is quite rare in this ancient immortal road. Attack him. Firstly, there are risks, and secondly, it is difficult for Wu Yu to do it, to calculate a person who is good to him. This made him feel a little guilty, and soon gave up the initial choice. After all, he still has a certain amount of time and opportunities. There is no need to attack now, and it is not in line with his principles to attack someone who treats him warmly when he just met. Moreover, he had a better way to deal with it. Since the other party was honest, he was even more honest and said directly to the other party, "I am not from the Yanhuang ancient domain. I wonder if you have heard of the Dongsheng Shenzhou in the east of the Yanhuang ancient domain, outside the 19 continents in the world." The other party was shocked, his eyes widened, and he came forward and asked, "Are you talking about the demon sealing continent?" Before the sealing of the 5 elements, the world of Yanfu was overturned, and finally the heavenly court arranged the heavenly soldiers and generals to destroy it. What demon ancestor was swallowed? The demon ancestor swallowed the Immortals. It's the demon ancestor swallowing the sky. Oh, yes, this is the demon ancestor swallowing the sky. It is said that the gods used the 3 eras killing formation. It took 3 UN to completely destroy it. The reason why Dongsheng Shenzhou is becoming more and more desolate seems to be because the devouring demon ancestor died there, affecting the luck. Speaking of this, Lan Yu was very excited. Obviously, he was very interested in this illusion. At this time, he stood in front of Wu Yu, staring at Wu Yu with wide eyes, and exclaimed, "I didn't expect that I, Lan Yu, could still see people from Dongsheng Shenzhou. There is also an entrance to the ancient immortal road in Dongsheng Shenzhou? How come I have never heard of it?" Only one. He was too enthusiastic. When Wu Yu said this, he actually had great hope. Lan Yu said, "Only one, no wonder I didn't know it, and there was no legend about it. No wonder you can come here at the 4th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. I heard that Dongsheng Shenzhou is now desolate. Not to mention becoming an immortal, even in the past tens of thousands of years, there has not been even a 3 disasters asking for the Wei realm. This is the fact. Wu Yu didn't talk about these. He looked serious and said, "My name is Wu Yu. In fact, I came to the ancient immortal road this time. In addition to training, I also shouldered a mission related to the survival of Shenzhou and even the Yanhuang ancient domain. Not many people here are willing to listen to me. I wonder if Brother Lan can listen to my story? There is also a mission of survival. Come on, I'm all ears." Lan Tianyu was shocked, but gave Wu Yu enough respect. Wu Yu believed it very much, and told Lan Tianyu the whole story that he had told Zhang Kaijun. Lan Tianyu was shocked when he heard it. When Wu Yu finished speaking, he turned pale and said, "In other words, if no one went to help in the past 10 months, and the strong men on your side couldn't deal with the 2 puppets of the devouring demon ancestor, then the devouring demon ancestor would be reborn." That's right. Wu Yu was very moved. Lan Tianyu's reaction was completely different from Zhang Kaijun's. After receiving Wu Yu's affirmative answer, Lan Tianyu was anxious and said nervously, "This is unreasonable. Do gods all make mistakes? How could the 3-era killing array not kill the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor? This old man is the life of a monster so hard? No, no matter whether this is true or not, I have to tell my father and let him spread the word." This chapter is not over. Please click on the next page to continue reading. If you can do this after leaving Taku Immortal Road, you, your father, and Blue Wing Storm Valley will all have great merits, Wu Yu said with red eyes. Zhang Kaijun was also suspicious of Wu Yu's words, but Lan Tianyu said that no matter whether it was true or not, he would spread the word and tell his father, just in case. Should I leave now? It seems there is still some time. Don't be so anxious. It will not take more than a month for the top people to arrive in Dongsheng Shenzhou. It will still be a long time. I have to let more people know about this news. Okay, can I not go out in a hurry? After all, it is not easy to enter Taku Immortal Road, and my father also spent a lot of money. Lan Tianyu said with a bitter face. Indeed, there is still time. He had the idea of leaving the Taku Immortal Road immediately, and Wu Yu was grateful enough to him. Please tell as many people as possible about this news. Thank you very much. I cannot thank you enough. If there is anything I can do to help you in the future, Wu Yu will definitely be obliged to do so. He handed over his hand and said with great solemnity. Don't be so serious. The survival of the world is the responsibility of our monks. As the saying goes, everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of the world, Lan Tianyu said. The best result is to rely on him and himself to continue to spread the news and let everyone in Taku Immortal Road know about it. Someone will always leave Taku Immortal Road and the news will always get out. Even if there is another accident, there will always be news. If there are people who believe it, please go to Shenzhou to have a look. After all, there's a lot at stake in this matter. If only you had met me before the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King appeared, I would definitely let many people know that hundreds of people were forced to leave Taku Immortal Road during this battle. If they knew the news, at this time maybe the whole Yanhuang ancient territory has spread, Lan Tianyu said regretfully. Were hundreds of people forced to leave, Wu Yu was also nearby at the time. Yeah, I didn't go up to join in the fun and hid far away, so I survived. There were still many souls in the form state who were forced away by the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King this time. What's the final result? Wu Yu still wanted to know. I don't know. It was too chaotic at the time. It seemed that the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King was killed, but I don't know who took away the huge Thunder Source ancient crystal. I asked others, and no one knew. I'm sure someone took the treasure and hid it. After all, even if the treasure was taken out, it would cause disputes. The person who hid it was indeed very smart. Since then, the Thunder Source Crystal Beast, Water Source Crystal Beast, etc. in the sea have disappeared. It's as if they have completely disappeared, and it is difficult to find them again. The people who are left behind have been searching for more than 10 days, but there seems to be no movement. The key is that we seem to be trapped in this deep sea again, with no way to leave. Of course, some people may have left, but most of them still stay here, just like me. They have become headless flies. This is the status quo. Speaking of this, Lan Tianyu said, I have to find someone quickly and let them spread the word. Do you want to work with me or do it separately? Doing it separately will be more efficient and avoid sudden encounters. We are here. If they are all caught together, the news will be cut off. Then let's split up. Wu Yu thought for a while, and if he worked with him, he wouldn't be able to forge an indestructible body. With people like Lan Tianyu helping him, he feels more at ease. If the task assigned to him by the Yanhuang city lord is 100%, it has actually been completed at least 50% now. At least after Lan Tianyu goes out, he will follow his father said it, and he would tell others that although he didn't know how the outside world would react, optimistically speaking, there would always be people interested in this kind of world-destroying event. Of course, Wu Yu must do it 100%. He still has time. Wu Yu, I'll give you my basic talisman. Please contact me at any time. Give me some too. Although this tail talisman cannot be transmitted outside, if the distance is close, we can still contact each other within this vast sea. Wu Yu quickly exchanged the talisman with him, and Lan Tianyu hurried away with confidence. It was obvious that he would definitely take notice of this matter. I met a good person. Wu Yu looked at his leaving eyes and couldn't help but sigh. Lan Tianyu also has some friends, and he is probably contacting those friends now. If this kind of thing spreads, more and more people will know about it, and Wu Yu will become more and more relieved. However, he still did not relax and continued on the journey. There are updates. Today. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 566. 2 days later, Wu Yu received a book tale. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Lan Yu told him that he had spread the news, and at least 5 people knew about it. And these 5 people all had some friendship with him. Regardless of whether they believed it or not, they had at least promised to spread the news. If they were enthusiastic, they could spread the news from 1 person to 10, and from 10 to 100, and even in the end, most of the people who stayed here would know about it. This efficiency is much faster than Zhang Kaijun. Zhang Kaijun, I'm afraid you have forgotten about this. Thinking of this person, Wu Yu was of course unhappy. It's my luck to have Lan Yu's help. At least next, he doesn't have to worry about the passage of time, but he didn't spread the news. During this period, he also searched everywhere. He did not have the connections that Lan Yu had, so there were not many people willing to pay attention to him. Another discovery was that in this endless sea, the spirit of all things had indeed never appeared again. Could it be that it is really gone? Without the spirit of all things, it can be seen that most people can be restless. They swam rapidly in the sea, continuing to look for the spirit of all things, and also looking for an exit to leave the sea area. After all, no one wants to be trapped here for a whole year without any gains. Wu Yu also fully opened the fire eyes and golden pupils and searched everywhere. He could have tried to sacrifice the Emperor of Heaven pagoda first, but in this tense atmosphere, he still looked for any way out first. This matter requires patience and perseverance. Wu Yu did not know how many places he had traveled to. Anyway, this sea was the same everywhere, and there were turbulent currents everywhere. It was easy to be swept away. When he arrived at a new place, the previous search was basically in vain. He could only wander around. Not only him, but everyone was wandering around. Another half-month has passed. For such a long time, it is said that there is no God of all things, and everyone is very restless. The only good news is that Lan Tianyu told himself that at least 10 people knew about this matter. Wu Yu met a few people among them, 2 of whom were reluctant to listen to him, but their attitude was similar to Zhang Kaijun. At least, if they leave the ancient immortal road, they should tell their elders about this matter. In fact, if Wu Yu wants to save Shenzhou, he doesn't have to go to the Yanhuang ancient domain to tell him in person. As for what method to use to go to the Yanhuang ancient domain later, Wu Yu is not in a hurry. There must be an exit. This place is full of changes. What about the changes? Every day, Wu Yu holds this thought and searches carefully. After penetrating this vast sea, one day, Wu Yu saw through his fiery eyes and golden eyes that there seemed to be 2 large shadows in the depths of the sea. What is that? The shadow moved him, and when he noticed the shadow, Wu Yu couldn't divert his sight, and he went towards the shadow carefully. Be careful, Ming Long seemed to be nervous too. After all, although this vast sea is huge, it seems that not many strange things have appeared so far. When his fiery eyes could see clearly, Wu Yu was still a safe distance away from the shadow. He finally penetrated countless vast seas and saw the true appearance of the shadow. What is that? Ming Long asked. It seems to be 2 stone statues sunk to the bottom of the sea. Things made of rock. But what? Wu Yu's eyes were cold and he said, the appearance of these stone statues is that of the thunder source crystal beast, the fire source crystal beast, and the water source crystal beast. The details are the same, but they are carved from stone. In terms of shape, they should be the same size as the thunder source crystal beast king that appeared before. Since it was confirmed that they were just 2 rock sculptures, Wu Yu was not too worried. He quickly approached and was about 100 feet away from the two stone statues. At this time, he could see clearly that they were indeed the kind of gods that appeared here. I don't know who carved them, but they can be carved so similarly. Who put these two stone statues here? Is it the predecessor, or one of the hundreds of people here? But this is something from the ancient immortal road. Wu Yu was very confused. He circled around the stone statue for a few times, but did not really get close, and remained vigilant. Ming Long could also feel the existence of the stone statue at this time. She was also watching, but she observed more carefully. Wu Yu, use your fire eyes to look carefully and see through the illusion. Is this really a stone statue? It can't be something else, Ming Long suddenly said cautiously. His tone was very solemn. Other things, Wu Yu did not look closely before, but only looked at the appearance. Now he is also curious about its origin. After all, subconsciously from the appearance, he thought it was the stone statue in the shape of the Thunder Source crystal beast. After Ming Long's reminder, he focused on one of the stone statues, calmed down and concentrated his mind, focusing his whole body and soul on his eyes. Now his eyes were like fire, and all illusions gradually unraveled before his eyes. In his sight, he found that the stone statue really changed, as if the rock was sometimes not a rock, but a liquid, a kind of water. When Wu Yu observed the head of the stone statue, he suddenly found that it was looming there, as if there was a hidden terrifying power. Even the fire eyes and golden pupils could only see this extent, which can only mean that the other side of the stone statue has been hidden very deeply. He looked at another statue again, this time more carefully, analyzing it bit by bit, especially the head. After about a quarter of an hour, Wu Yu saw a ball of fire, which was somewhat different from the water just now. This statue also hid terrifying power. How is it? Is there anything strange? Ming Long asked. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. In fact, she didn't know, but she had experience and knew that the things that appeared here would not be simple things. Wu Yu took a deep breath, nodded, and said, it's a bit strange, as if there are things hidden very deeply, one is fire, and the other is water. Especially in the head position, I vaguely feel that the hidden things will be terrible if they are released. After listening to Ming Long, he was stunned for a long time, and suddenly laughed, saying, I know what they are. Your dog luck is really against the sky. However, you are not strong enough, so no matter how good your luck is, it's useless. What do you mean? Hearing him say this, Wu Yu had a vague guess in his heart. Ming Long said, if I'm not mistaken, these two stone statues should be the same as the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King that appeared last time, except that one is the Fire Source Crystal Beast King and the other is the Water Source Crystal Beast King. This still frightened Wu Yu's heart. He still remembered the terrifying power of the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King last time. How is it possible? They are just stone statues. Wu Yu's voice trembled a little when he said the last part. He didn't want to die, so he quickly stepped back a distance. He looked at the two motionless stone statues in shock. At this time, there was a turbulent flow rolling over them. Wu Yu originally thought that the turbulent flow would sweep them away, but it didn't. This also shows from one side that these two stone statues are not ordinary things. Seeing Wu Yu's disbelief, Ming Long put his hands on his hips and said proudly, you are really ignorant. The reason why the spirits of all things can live so long, much longer than demons, is that most of them have the means to hibernate. They can make their bodies enter a state of absolute stillness. If they are sealed, these two will directly turn into stone. If I guess correctly, in fact, after you came in, all the spirits of all things are stone. The others have been awakened by the shock. The last time, the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King woke up, and this time, you met the other two kings. Fortunately, they did not wake up, otherwise, you would have gone to the 10,000 hells or returned to Shenzhou. The ways of hibernation of the spirits of all things are strange, and it is not surprising that they turned into two stone statues, Ming Long added. After listening, Wu Yu basically did not doubt the authenticity of Ming Long's words. Therefore, he was extremely shocked. He looked at the two stone statues and could not speak for a long time. At this time, if these two kings of the gods of all things suddenly woke up, Wu Yu was not sure whether he could escape from their encirclement. His eyes fell on the head of the fire source crystal beast king. There is a fire source ancient crystal stone that is 100 times the size, Wu Yu murmured. Yes, it's very big, Ming Long said. If I can get this fire source ancient crystal stone, will it be enough for the Dragon King Buddha's indestructible body? He asked with burning eyes. Ming Long laughed and said, in theory, this is the case, but if you can't cut it and melt it bit by bit, you will be reduced to ashes. Of course, in terms of quantity, it is definitely more than enough. However, the most important thing is, don't think about it. When you can defeat the fire source crystal beast king, you will not lack the Dragon King Buddha's indestructible body. So, this matter can only be thought about, but not too much, because it is impossible. I'm just leaving like this, Wu Yu asked in astonishment. It was luck to meet the two kings of the gods of all things in the state of stone statues. However, Ming Long said early on that he was not strong enough to seize this opportunity. However, if he left like this, no one would be willing to do so. Otherwise, do you want to touch them a few more times? It's okay if you touch them. They won't wake up so easily. They look very deep in sleep. From my surprise, unless you attack them with all your strength, they will be awakened from sleep. The Thunder Source Crystal Beast King before was obviously like this. Since there was no danger for the time being, Wu Yu still wanted to really go forward and take a look. To him, the gods of all things seemed to be a miracle. If you can separate the second soul and control the egg of the devouring demon ancestor, from now on, your other body will be the god of all things. Look forward to that day. Your second body may be more terrifying than the original body. Ming Long persuaded. Of course Wu Yu was waiting for that day. At this time, he stood on both sides of the stone statue. What is this? He pointed at the buttocks of the stone statue. There was a mass of stone with a somewhat messy shape, like a messy ball stuck on the buttocks of the stone statue. Ming Long stuck out his tongue and said, it's hard to tell. Of course, it must be the excrement of the gods of all things over the long years. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 567. Excrement. Wu Yu was startled and was about to touch it, but quickly stopped. No wonder the shape is so irregular and strange, and it's still stuck in this position. It turns out to be excrement. It's dormant and it can still excrete. It's really willful. There are really many wonders in this vast world. Ming Long smiled and said, all things and gods are full of wonderful changes, but in some places they retain the most basic characteristics of living things. It is indeed wonderful. After all, they are directly created by heaven and earth. Wu Yu circled around the two stone statues several times. This feeling of being able to find them but being unable to do anything is really depressing. Wu Yu sighed slightly. At this time, Ming Long was still observing the excrement. She suddenly said, I have read the classics about the gods of all things, and I know that they will sleep. When dormant, some of them will excrete some things, but when it is said to be excretion, it is actually better to say that it is the dissipation of their power. The gods of all things different from us humans and monsters, their bodies are all used to store power. For example, this fire source crystal beast king is covered with source fire. These things that seem to be excreted are actually long-lasting. Over the years, the source fire on its body has escaped. Look, the material of this thing and its body should be exactly the same. After hearing what Ming Long said, Wu Yu observed it himself and found that it was indeed the case. In fact, at first, he thought that the excrement was part of the stone statue. Now that he looked carefully, there was no difference between the two. Minglong said at this time, I estimate that when it wakes up, it will eat all the things it pulls out. This is a large part of the source fire, and it will not waste it. Haha, this is not producing itself. Eat it? Ming Tong suddenly laughed loudly and was very excited when he thought of this naughty thing. Wu Yu was speechless for her. Such a girl, how could she care so little about her image? However, what she said is understandable. In fact, this is the power dissipated in the body of the fire source crystal beast king during his dormant time. When he wakes up, he will definitely swallow it back. Amidst Ming Long's laughter, Wu Yu kept thinking, is there any way he can get the fire source ancient crystal stone that is 100 times the size? This is an unsolvable problem. There is no doubt that if he wakes it up himself, he will definitely be able to get out quickly. Wealth and wealth are found in danger. Sometimes, in order to break the predicament at hand, we have to risk our lives to fight and do things that are unpredictable. This is how spiritual cultivation is. There are dangers everywhere, but if you don't have the courage to break the situation, you won't be able to do it at all. It is possible to become an immortal. Since ancient times, those who can become immortals are those with great perseverance, great luck, and boldness. Ming Long's last point simply pointed the way for Wu Yu. What is most important in cultivating Taoism? You may think it is resources, talents, etc., but in fact, these can all be attributed to luck. Where they are born is indeed a part of luck. Some people are born with countless resources. What really matters is the majestic luck, the perseverance to die rather than surrender, and the courage to take risks. Having these is the most fundamental thing. Needless to say about luck, being able to receive the inheritance from an immortal is definitely the best luck. As for perseverance, there are probably not many people in the world who can compare with Wu Yu today. The last thing is courage. It's hard to say what courage is. After all, sometimes there are a lot of cares and responsibilities. However, the best things are often accompanied by the most terrifying dangers. If you don't have the guts and courage to take the first step, there is no way to become an immortal at all. So, what do you want to say? Ming Long would not suddenly say such things, she must have a way. Sure enough, she chuckled and said, I have an idea, but it all depends on my imagination. I don't even have the slightest confidence in it myself. Do you dare to know? How can you not even dare to know? Wu Yu smiled. He is not afraid of dangerous methods, but what he is afraid of is that there is no way at all. Young man, you are very brave. My sister is afraid that if she says it, she will scare you to death. Ming Long teased him. Her self-proclaimed names are also all kinds of weird. One time she was grandma, another time she was my mother, and now she is my sister. I don't know if she will become my sister in the future. Just say it, don't be polite to me. Ming Long curled his lips and said, I was just thinking about it. Look, after they wake up, they should eat these dirty things. If you hide in these things and squeeze in, maybe it will eat you into its stomach. Of course, this thing's belly will definitely be very hot, but if someone else wakes it up at this time, its attention will be on the battle, and you will only need to hide in it. Hold back the burning flames and wait until those geniuses from the Yanhuang ancient territory kill the fire origin crystal beast king. They will probably be almost exhausted by then. Then you can rush out from your mouth to snatch the treasure. At least you will appear this time. The method is amazing. If you show off a little bit, you might get the chance to get the treasure first. When the time comes, just use your clones to escape. There are so many clones, who knows which one to chase? Ming Taki finished his long speech in one go. Wu Yu was stunned for a moment after hearing this. It had to be said that her imagination was also very powerful, and she was not sure what she said. For example, would the Fire Origin Crystal Beast King swallow Wu Yu together? Those people can already kill the Fire Source Crystal Beast King. In the end, Wu Yu will definitely be exhausted and let Wu Yu find this opportunity. For another example, would Wu Yu be directly burned to coke in his belly? There are too many variables in this. All in all, this is an unreliable method. But Minglong said, my method, although unreliable, is still a method. If you hide and watch the battle, it will be the same as last time. Not only will there be no gain, but it will also waste time. No matter how you say this method, it will be successful. Even if it fails and something goes wrong anywhere, just use the ancient immortal talisman to go back. Anyway, there is already Lanchan Jade to help you spread the news. This is the most golden opportunity you have ever encountered. If you miss it, you will probably regret it for a long time. It's up to you how you decide. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Wu Yu fell into deep thought. She knows the specific method Minglong said, so she is now considering the feasibility. The worst outcome should not be death, but return to Dongsheng Divine Continent. So there is no danger of death in this adventure. Don't worry about whether you will be burned to death in its belly. First, your current indestructible body is the most resistant to flames. The stronger the source fire, if you are more powerful, you can directly burn the flames in its belly. Although it is difficult to cultivate the indestructible body of Vajra during calcination, it is unlikely to burn you to death. After all, it is not the Thunder Source Crystal Beast King or the Water Source Crystal Beast King. Secondly, once this thing wakes up, those guys will definitely swarm up. At that time, the Fire Source Crystal Beast King will be busy dealing with the opponents outside. As long as you keep quiet and pretend to be dead after being discovered, there may not be a problem. Anyway, the worst outcome is to choose to continue looking for other opportunities. Or choose to take a gamble, it depends on you. I can only say that the ancient crystal stone on the head of this thing can make your physical body soar into the sky. When it comes to business matters, Minglong is quite serious. This is a crazy idea, a crazy plan. I'm not worried about variables, let alone pain and hardship. It doesn't matter if I go back to Dongsheng Divine Continent. One day I can still go to the Yanhuang ancient territory. The only thing I worry about is that although Lanchan Jade has told many people, the news is not spread widely enough. No one wants to go to Shenzhou. That's the big deal. This is the worst case scenario. The chance is still relatively small. Mingtong looked like he wanted him to give it a try. On the one hand, it is the worry about the rebirth of the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, and on the other hand, it is the opportunity for his own transformation, and it is also very dangerous. This kind of choice is really difficult to make. Maybe if you choose to take risks, you will appear irresponsible and not thinking about the real overall situation. Although that was indeed the worst case scenario that could happen, and the Emperor Commander and the others might not be able to deal with Tuomingchen Chensu, Wu Yu originally wanted to do his own thing. He watched someone go to the Divine Continent with his own eyes, and even accompanied him. He thought for a quarter of an hour. What do you think? Minglong asked. Wu Yu's eyes calmed down, and he had made a decision. Adventure, I guess. Making such a choice does not mean that he is irresponsible. In fact, he has already done almost everything. Moreover, with this assumption and so many variables in the plan, he will try his best to avoid using the ancient immortal talisman. He will definitely not use it. You have courage. Mingtong actually didn't expect him to make such a decisive decision, but she smiled because this was the Wu Yu she knew. A few years later, when you think of the day you hid in the feces of the Fire Source Crystal Beast King, you will be proud of your choice. Haha, Minglong laughed teasingly. Aren't you among them? Wu Yu rolled his eyes. The structure of the excrement was messy, with many holes. In fact, It was made of ordinary stone. Wu Yu climbed along the holes to the middle. To be honest, he held his breath and concentrated in it. In an emergency, other people might be like this. The fire source crystal beast king himself is really difficult to spot. After hiding inside, wait for others to discover this place, and then force the two giant beasts to wake up. Wu Yu believed that this day would not take long. He closed his eyes. About 6 days later, he heard a noise outside. What is this? A stone statue. It looks like those gods of all things, but how can there be such a stone statue on this ancient immortal road? This was a woman's voice, which seemed familiar. Next, a man said, "Don't worry about its origin. Put this stone statue into the samurai bag first, and then go out and study it. Maybe there will be something useful. I will collect this stone statue, and you will collect the other one." They were very smart and collected it directly, but Wu Yu estimated that the stone statue would not enter the samurai bag. But this voice, Wu Yu remembered, seemed to be Prince Yun and his Taoist companion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 569. The battle between the two kings of all things and the ascetics and demons was imminent. Because there was one more than last time, the movement this time was undoubtedly twice as big. This boundless dark sea was filled with rage and waves. Half of it became a sea of fire, and the other half was purer water. The golden rage spread over thousands of miles. Many people did not dare to approach, such as Lan Tianyu and the others, but they were also entangled by the flames. This big melee was extremely fierce and much more exciting than the last time. However, Wu Yu could not see the situation outside, and he had no time to care about the situation outside. Now he was trapped in the endless source fire. Although these source fires had no intention of burning him, he was here. Countless source fires surrounded his body, endlessly. With the anger of the fire source crystal beast king, the source fire became more terrifying. Burning on the body, even if one had an indestructible body, there was a feeling of pain. The golden source fire was surging everywhere, as if the magma in the volcano. For Wu Yu, the body of the fire source crystal beast king is an endless ocean of source fire. Sure enough, when the fire source crystal beast king was fighting with the cultivators and demons outside, Wu Yu was also gritting his teeth to endure it. This was the time to test his perseverance. At this moment, the burning pain from the source fire he endured was almost the same as Wu Yu's smelting of the ancient fire crystal stone, and it was even continuing to rise. The source fire poured into Wu Yu's body, running around in his body, spreading to every corner, forming an effect similar to Wu Yu's smelting of the ancient fire crystal stone. Heart monkey. He gritted his teeth, maintained his posture, and sat cross-legged in the sea of fire. In this chaos, he first maintained the state of the immortal ape transformation, and then visualized the heart monkey. In the realm of thought, the heart monkey was very calm. When his heart was calm, Wu Yu began to recite Dragon King Buddha Indestructible Body. For a moment, the majestic sound of Buddhist chanting rang out in the body of the fire source crystal beast king. Only this tactic can allow Wu Yu to survive here, allowing him to use the source fire that burns him as a condition for calcining his body. Although the effect is not as pure as the fire source ancient crystal stone, or even very poor, at least, with the help of the Vajra indestructible body, his burned flesh and blood will be transformed and improved, and he will not be burned to death here. Hold on. For the time being, he can still grit his teeth. After all, this is more of a physical tribulation, testing willpower, but he knows that his body will only become stronger after repeated calcinations. At least during this period, he does not have to worry about his life and death. But who knows what changes will happen next? He probably guessed that at this time, the battle in the ancient immortal road has reached a white-hot stage. The stage of transformation. Various Taoist instruments, magical powers, talismans, and Taoist arts rolled around the source fire. Sometimes, there were even Taoist instruments that pierced the body of the fire source crystal beast king and came directly to Wu Yu's eyes. The sea of fire around was constantly turbulent. It was obvious that the opponents of the fire source crystal beast king were also very fierce. Many attacks could shake its foundation. Anyway, in the end, there were brutal shocks everywhere. Boom boom boom. Various roars swept through. Then there was the angry roar of the fire source crystal beast king. The angrier this guy was, the more surging the source fire in his body was, and the more terrible the disaster Wu Yu endured. In this case, the only advantage is that its attention is all on those opponents. I am afraid that even if they notice Wu Yu, they will be too lazy to pay attention to him. After all, Wu Yu hiding in his body is not a threat, and Wu Yu looks much weaker than his opponents. That is, it is too hot. It's really worse than death, he couldn't help but complain. Big man, stop whining. If you don't insist now, how can you be so majestic in the battle? Do you think immortality is so easy to get? Ming Long said unhappily. Although he complained a few words, Wu Yu actually couldn't give up. Without Ming Long's words, he knew better than anyone that he had to stick to it until the end, because he had made a choice. Except death, nothing could stop Wu Yu from staying here. Persist, persist. Even if the source fire was fierce and raging all over his body, even if his skin was burned to charcoal again, and then reborn in the magic formula of the indestructible body of the diamond, this process was repeated thousands of times, and each time was heartbreaking. Later, Wu Yu really got used to it. He simply visualized the monkey mind while forging the Dragon King Buddha indestructible body, and then waited for the situation outside. But after being numb enough, his mentality became very calm. Maybe at the beginning, he didn't think that this crazy decision had much possibility of realization, but now, he was at least more than 50% sure. At this moment, no one can stop him. I must get this treasure. No matter how strong the competitors are. Now the whole world is an endless golden sea of fire. After a fierce battle, both sides paused for a while, and the battle situation can be said to be tragic. Zhang Kaijun's face was pale. In her eyes, the flame beast in the center of the golden flame vortex was roaring, protesting, and spitting out flames. Beside her, there were nearly 30 people. The target of these 30 people was the fire source crystal beast king. The two gods of all things suddenly appeared. As the overlord of the Yanfu world, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, all the geniuses united this time and directly drove away the others, leaving everyone else to fight for the water source. The crystal beast king, Yanhuang ancient kingdom, alone possesses the fire source crystal beast king. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, which alone occupies 3 continents, is the absolute top overlord. Other countries, the largest of which only owns 1 continent, are difficult to compare with the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Among the forces that came in this time, the largest number were from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. At this time, the super geniuses of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom gathered together and united. Others could only be convinced and went to the other side to fight fiercely with the water source crystal beast king. So at this time, there were actually only people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom next to the fire source crystal beast king. Zhang Kaijun is one of them, and his strength is barely at the top. At this time, there were many wounded in the team, and several of the core forces were extremely tired now. Almost all kinds of divine channel techniques were used cleanly. Although the fire source crystal beast king was injured to a certain extent, it was necessary to win it, still not easy. Although our Yanhuang ancient kingdom has captured the treasure of the Thunder Origin Crystal Beast King, it is not enough. The Fire Origin Crystal Beast King is more suitable for the people of our Yanhuang ancient kingdom. We must not let it slip away. We have already heard it, and letting it slip away will only make it easier for others. Those guys who were driven away by us to fight for the Water Source Crystal Beast King must have objections to us and are unwilling to accept it. Maybe they are hiding far away, waiting for the opportunity. Keep fighting. After a short rest, more than 30 people attacked again. For a moment, Taoist weapons and supernatural powers flew across and hit the Fire Source Crystal Beast King. The swords, spears, swords and halberds even penetrated through his body, making the giant beast even more furious. Spewing out blazing fire, some people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom were approached by it and could only leave through the Teku Immortal Road. Seeing that there are fewer and fewer people able to participate in the battle. Even if they are still insisting, in fact, the top 10 souls in the form of transformation have experienced the situation of exhaustion of mana at this time, and it is difficult to display their magical powers. They can only use Tao weapons to resist. It can be seen that all of them their faces were all pale and they were just holding on. There were originally more than 30 people, but now there are only more than 20 people left. Now everyone is exhausted, and the Fire Source Crystal Beast King is still very ferocious. If this continues, it is estimated that the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom may be in this fire source. The Crystal Beast King was completely wiped out. In fact, this is also the reason why some people are willing to give up the Fire Source Crystal Beast King to them. Because they were betting that the geniuses of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom alone could not capture the Fire Source Crystal Beast King. Under this situation, Zhang Kaijun frowned deeply. She felt that some changes must be made, otherwise, the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom would lose face because of their domineering behavior this time. The Beast King who occupies the Fire Source Crystal cannot be dealt with. Everyone, the ancient Emperor Demon Sword Talisman given to us by our elders should be used in this place, otherwise, everyone will have to leave. Many people probably thought of it, but no one said it first. The stronger the person, the more they care about face and are unwilling to be the first to say it. After Zhang Kaijun started, everyone else nodded. If you are not in the state of Yuan Shen's transformation, step back. Because they don't have this ancient Emperor Demon Sword Talisman in their hands. Do it. There are more than a dozen people left, among whom Zhang Kaijun is considered the weakest. More than a dozen of them took out a black talisman from the Sumuru bag at the same time. As soon as the talisman came out, a terrifying power swept out. In everyone's hands, the complex runes quickly changed, transforming from black to gold. For a time, the entire talisman turned golden, and the runes changed, vaguely showing the figure of an ancient emperor. The ancient emperor's demonic sword. More than 10 people activated their talismans at the same time. For a moment, each person's golden talisman turned into a golden ray of light, suddenly leaving their eyes and gathering on top of the Fire Source Crystal Beast King. For a moment, a terrifying divine power descended, and the golden talisman the light condensed into a huge ball, as if a terrifying existence had come in person. At this time, all the people in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom could not help but lower their heads and half knelt on the ground, extremely pious and solemn. Roar. The Fire Source Crystal Beast King also felt the terror of the golden light in the sky, so he showed a look of fear, and even kept roaring and demonstrating to eliminate the fear in his heart. Welcome. The people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom shouted in unison. At this moment, the golden light transformed into a giant sword. The giant sword was golden in color and very ancient. There were many lines carved on the upper and lower sides. Those lines combined formed two exquisite pictures. This picture on the scroll, there is a fairy aura surrounding it, and there are many fairy palaces, such as the Palace of Heaven, and the other side is gloomy and bloody, like those 10,000 layers of hell. This sword came down on the head. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 570. The battle between the two kings of all things and the ascetics and demons was imminent. Because there was one more than last time, the movement this time was undoubtedly twice as big. This boundless dark sea was filled with rage and waves. Half of it became a sea of fire, and the other half was purer water. The golden rage spread over thousands of miles. Many people did not dare to approach, such as Lan Tianyu and the others, but they were also entangled by the flames. This big melee was extremely fierce and much more exciting than the last time. However, Wu Yu could not see the situation outside, and he had no time to care about the situation outside. Now he was trapped in the endless source fire. Although these source fires had no intention of burning him, he was here. Countless source fires surrounded his body, endlessly. With the anger of the fire source crystal beast king, the source fire became more terrifying. Burning on the body, even if one had an indestructible body, there was a feeling of pain. The golden source fire was surging everywhere, as if the magma in the volcano. For Wu Yu, the body of the fire source crystal beast king is an endless ocean of source fire. Sure enough, when the fire source crystal beast king was fighting with the cultivators and demons outside, Wu Yu was also gritting his teeth to endure it. This was the time to test his perseverance. At this moment, the burning pain from the source fire he endured was almost the same as Wu Yu's smelting of the ancient fire crystal stone, and it was even continuing to rise. The source fire poured into Wu Yu's body, running around in his body, spreading to every corner, forming an effect similar to Wu Yu's smelting of the ancient fire crystal stone. Hard monkey. He gritted his teeth, maintained his posture, and sat cross-legged in the sea of fire. In this chaos, he first maintained the state of the immortal ape transformation, and then visualized the heart monkey. In the realm of thought, the heart monkey was very calm. When his heart was calm, Wu Yu began to recite Dragon King Buddha Indestructible Body. For a moment, the majestic sound of Buddhist chanting rang out in the body of the fire source crystal beast king. Only this tactic can allow Wu Yu to survive here, allowing him to use the source fire that burns him as a condition for calcining his body. Although the effect is not as pure as the fire source ancient crystal stone, or even very poor, at least, with the help of the Vajra indestructible body, his burned flesh and blood will be transformed and improved, and he will not be burned to death here. Hold on. For the time being, he can still grit his teeth. After all, this is more of a physical tribulation, testing willpower, but he knows that his body will only become stronger after repeated calcinations. At least during this period, he does not have to worry about his life and death. But who knows what changes will happen next? He probably guessed that at this time, the battle in the ancient immortal road has reached a white-hot stage. The stage of transformation. Various Taoist instruments, magical powers, talismans, and Taoist arts rolled around the source fire. Sometimes, there were even Taoist instruments that pierced the body of the fire source crystal beast king and came directly to Wu Yu's eyes. The sea of fire around was constantly turbulent. It was obvious that the opponents of the fire source crystal beast king were also very fierce. Many attacks could shake its foundation. Anyway, in the end, there were brutal shocks everywhere. Boom boom boom. Various roars swept through. Then there was the angry roar of the fire source crystal beast king. The angrier this guy was, the more surging the source fire in his body was, and the more terrible the disaster Wu Yu endured. In this case, the only advantage is that its attention is all on those opponents. I am afraid that even if they notice Wu Yu, they will be too lazy to pay attention to him. After all, Wu Yu hiding in his body is not a threat, and Wu Yu looks much weaker than his opponents. That is, it is too hot. It's really worse than death. He couldn't help but complain. Big man, stop whining. If you don't insist now, how can you be so majestic in the battle? Do you think immortality is so easy to get? Ming Long said unhappily. Although he complained a few words, Wu Yu actually couldn't give up. Without Ming Long's words, he knew better than anyone that he had to stick to it until the end, because he had made a choice. Except death, nothing could stop Wu Yu from staying here. Persist, persist. Even if the source fire was fierce and raging all over his body, even if his skin was burned to charcoal again and then reborn in the magic formula of the indestructible body of the diamond, this process was repeated thousands of times, and each time was heartbreaking. Later, Wu Yu really got used to it. He simply visualized the monkey mind while forging the Dragon King Buddha indestructible body, and then waited for the situation outside. But after being numb enough, his mentality became very calm. Maybe at the beginning, he didn't think that this crazy decision had much possibility of realization, but now, he was at least more than 50% sure. At this moment, no one can stop him. I must get this treasure. No matter how strong the competitors are. Now the whole world is an endless golden sea of fire. After a fierce battle, both sides paused for a while, and the battle situation can be said to be tragic. Zhang Kaijun's face was pale. In her eyes, the flame beast in the center of the golden flame vortex was roaring, protesting, and spitting out flames. Beside her, there were nearly 30 people. The target of these 30 people was the fire source crystal beast king. The two gods of all things suddenly appeared. As the overlord of the Yanfu world, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, all the geniuses united this time and directly drove away the others, leaving everyone else to fight for the water source. The crystal beast king, Yanhuang ancient kingdom, alone possesses the fire source crystal beast king. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. In the Yanhuang ancient territory, the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, which alone occupies 3 continents, is the absolute top overlord. Other countries, the largest of which only owns 1 continent, are difficult to compare with the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Among the forces that came in this time, the largest number were from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. At this time, the super geniuses of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom gathered together and united. Others could only be convinced and went to the other side to fight fiercely with the water source crystal beast king. So at this time, there were actually only people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom next to the fire source crystal beast king. Zhang Kaijun is one of them, and his strength is barely at the top. At this time, there were many wounded in the team, and several of the core forces were extremely tired now. Almost all kinds of divine channel techniques were used cleanly. Although the fire source crystal beast king was injured to a certain extent, it was necessary to win it, still not easy. Although our Yanhuang ancient kingdom has captured the treasure of the thunder origin crystal beast king, it is not enough. The fire origin crystal beast king is more suitable for the people of our Yanhuang ancient kingdom. We must not let it slip away. We have already heard it, and letting it slip away will only make it easier for others. Those guys who were driven away by us to fight for the water source crystal beast king must have objections to us and are unwilling to accept it. Maybe they are hiding far away, waiting for the opportunity. Keep fighting. After a short rest, more than 30 people attacked again. For a moment, Taoist weapons and supernatural powers flew across and hit the fire source crystal beast king. The swords, spears, swords and halberds even penetrated through his body, making the giant beast even more furious. Spewing out blazing fire, some people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom were approached by it and could only leave through the Teku Immortal Road. Seeing that there are fewer and fewer people able to participate in the battle, even if they are still insisting, in fact, the top 10 souls in the form of transformation have experienced the situation of exhaustion of mana at this time, and it is difficult to display their magical powers. They can only use Tao weapons to resist. It can be seen that all of them their faces were all pale and they were just holding on. There were originally more than 30 people, but now there are only more than 20 people left. Now everyone is exhausted, and the fire source crystal beast king is still very ferocious. If this continues, it is estimated that the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom may be in this fire source. The crystal beast king was completely wiped out. In fact, this is also the reason why some people are willing to give up the fire source crystal beast king to them. Because they were betting that the geniuses of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom alone could not capture the fire source crystal beast king. Under this situation, Zhang Kaijun frowned deeply. She felt that some changes must be made, otherwise, the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom would lose face because of their domineering behavior this time. The beast king who occupies the fire source crystal cannot be dealt with. Everyone, the ancient emperor demon sword talisman given to us by our elders should be used in this place, otherwise, everyone will have to leave. Many people probably thought of it, but no one said it first. The stronger the person, the more they care about face and are unwilling to be the first to say it. After Zhang Kaijun started, everyone else nodded. If you are not in the state of Yuan Shen's transformation, step back. Because they don't have this ancient emperor demon sword talisman in their hands. Do it. There are more than a dozen people left, among whom Zhang Kaijun is considered the weakest. More than a dozen of them took out a black talisman from the sumuru bag at the same time. As soon as the talisman came out, a terrifying power swept out. In everyone's hands, the complex runes quickly changed, transforming from black to gold. For a time, the entire talisman turned golden, and the runes changed, vaguely showing the figure of an ancient emperor. The ancient emperor's demonic sword. More than 10 people activated their talismans at the same time. For a moment, each person's golden talisman turned into a golden ray of light, suddenly leaving their eyes and gathering on top of the fire source crystal beast king. For a moment, a terrifying divine power descended, and the golden talisman the light condensed into a huge ball, as if a terrifying existence had come in person. At this time, all the people in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom could not help but lower their heads and half knelt on the ground, extremely pious and solemn. Roar! The fire source crystal beast king also felt the terror of the golden light in the sky, so he showed a look of fear, and even kept roaring and demonstrating to eliminate the fear in his heart. Welcome! The people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom shouted in unison. At this moment, the golden light transformed into a giant sword. The giant sword was golden in color and very ancient. There were many lines carved on the upper and lower sides. Those lines combined formed two exquisite pictures. This picture on the scroll, there is a fairy aura surrounding it, and there are many fairy palaces, such as the Palace of Heaven, and the other side is gloomy and bloody, like those 10,000 layers of hell. This sword came down on the head.